Paying is a great client. You know, I mean, I think that it can be difficult working with artists because they don't really get paid, so they don't really have the money to pay you, and so since they're not paying you, they also don't appreciate your time, like the value of your time, for instance. And they'll call you for small things, and they'll kind of want to talk about stuff, and they get mad if you can't, you know, jump in there and do everything all at once. Whereas, say, with a corporate client, you know, like a publishing company or a record company, you know, they're getting they're getting hourly bills, and they see that, you know, well, every time I talk to them for an hour, it costs me $350. You know, they're a lot more cognizant of the value of your time, and they don't waste it. You know, they only use you when it's worth it to them. And artists can be a funny lot, also. You know and it doesn't happen just with the lawyers, but you know, artists can, and it's certainly not everyone, but there is sort of a general trend that if they're successful, it's because they're geniuses, and if they're not successful, it's because everyone else f***ed up. You know, so it can be kind of galling sometimes to work with someone from the very beginning, or really help them through really difficult times, and you know, get things sorted out, and then at some point they forget everything that you did, and they think of you as, you know, you're in the way, or you caused the problem. That's another one too, is actually that clients, and I don't think this is just musicians, but clients in general sometimes forget that you're hired to solve the problem. You're not the problem. You know, they'll sort of equate the lawyer with the problem that the lawyer's trying to solve, and go, you know, they'll get frustrated and mad at the lawyer because they have a problem. It's like, look, I didn't cause your problem. I'm here to help. You know, with an artist, you also, you know, you certainly do the legal part of the stuff. You know, the contracts that come up, the record contracts, publishing contracts, you know, whatever needs to get done, management contracts, things like that. But you also end up educating them more. And, you know, they tend to be not terribly sophisticated. I mean, certainly are sophisticated artists that know a lot about the business, that you know, even when they haven't really been in the business yet, they're good. They have you know, done their reading, and they've done their homework, which I definitely would suggest for everybody. You know, if you're going to be, for instance, if you want to be a cabinet maker, you should learn about the cabinet making business and understand it as a business and know how the money works. And the same thing with, you know, if you want to be an artist. If you want to be an artist, you have to understand how the art business works. You know, I mean, because in a way, it really is sort of being a cabinet maker. You know, you're providing a service, there's a result to that service, and you got to understand how you make money on that. And I think where a lot of artists, you know, fall down, or, you know, one a major pitfall for them is that they don't go to the trouble of understanding things and how it all works, and they sort of have this dream that, you know, they can go from playing, you know, with your friends in the garage to playing in a local club to suddenly being on MTV and being a big star and jetting around in, you know, private jets. And that's completely not how it works. You know, even, it certainly doesn't work like that today. And even when it might have kind of worked like that, that was certainly the, you know, the stroke of lightning. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't the way it normally works. I mean, you know, normally it's a lot of years and years and years of development and doing things on your own until you can convince other people that it's worth it for them to do things for you and things like that. So, you know, what artists typically sort of, you know, one of their big pitfalls is that they expect it to just happen. They expect that if they make a beautiful record, that record will be enough, and it will somehow float to the top of everything. And, you know, look, I wish it worked like that. You know, I mean, it would be very interesting to, if, you know, all the great records that I've ever heard that no one else has ever heard, you know, were all popular. You know, I mean, there's so many records that come through that really sound great, beautiful records. You know, some of my favorite records were never signed to anything, that never got released or whatever. It doesn't work like that. You know, and you see bands who go to make a record and they'll spend, you know, they'll spend their entire budget making the record, and they won't have anything left afterwards to market or promote it. You know, I mean, my advice is you should at least have twice as much money allocated to marketing as you do for recording. So if you want to spend $25,000 making a record, you really should have another $50,000 to market it, because no one's going to hear about your record unless you do something, unless you buy some ads or you go on tour or you do online marketing or whatever it is that marketing people do. You got to go do that too.